Friday the 13th. The number 13 is synonymous in popular culture with bad luck and misfortune. Psychologists call this fear triskaidekaphobia, and it is estimated that roughly 1 in 10 people in the United States take the premonitions surrounding this numerical value very seriously. Builders and contractors have even gone so far as to deliberately omit the 13th level from buildings, elevators, and oceanic vessels. There are numerous theories surrounding this multicultural fear. Perceived origins include the Code of Hammurabi's omission of a 13th law, the synchronized capture of the Knights Templar by King Philip IV of France on October 13, 1307, or the consequences of an additional uninvited guest with ill intent at a gathering of 12, such as Judas at the Last Supper, or as Loki at a dinner party of Norse gods, both of which are recorded to have ended with murder. These ancient premonitions are fueled in modern times through events such as the near-catastrophic Apollo 13 oxygen tank explosion on April 13, 1970. And of course, solidified in popular culture through the 1980 Cunningham slasher horror film Friday the 13th. In classical music, one 20th century composer's triskaidekaphobia took this numerology to a new level. Arnold Schoenberg omitted the 13th measure on several later works, replacing 13 with 12a. He also feared dying in a year or at an age that was a multiple of 13. Coincidentally, he ended up dying on Friday the 13th of July 1951 at the age of 76, which, when adding 7 and 6 together, equals 13. So what does this have to do with music? Are there premonitions surrounding numerology and harmony? Perhaps, or perhaps not. While hopefully not to the extent of phobia, our Friday the 13th 21 Ways to Harmony feature will explore the findings of a 2010 study published in the American Journal of Psychology and consider assumptions, prejudices, and attitudes surrounding audiences and performers of certain types of music. The American Journal of Psychology published a 2010 article in which 36,518 participants were asked to rate 104 music genres preferentially on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most liked and 1 being the least. Additionally, all surveyed self-reported personality in order for the study to assess correlations between music preference and Big Five personality traits. The results of the 104 music genres surveyed, ranging from Baroque classical through religious and praise, were then isolated into 10 meta-style groups: classical music, jazz, mainstream, folk, alternative rock, Latino, music of black origin, dance, rock, and functional. This would mean that Romantic period classical would fall into the classical music category, and smooth jazz into the jazz category, and so on. The results revealed that there were clear listening preferences for those who self-reported either high or low in terms of the Big Five personality dimensions: openness, extroversion, neuroticism, conscientiousness, and agreeableness. The Langford questionnaire used for this assessment required each participant to self-report on the Big Five traits through respective proxy: uncreative to creative, shy to outgoing, nervous to at ease, lazy to hardworking, and headstrong to gentle. The study also surveyed everyone's reasons for listening to music, as well as age, sex, income, and the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. While these variables were included as part of the study, the primary focus was around music genre selection and personality type. Some findings were as one might expect. Outgoing respondents, those higher in extroversion, had an affinity for music most commonly found in social settings: funk, dance music, and country. Those who self-reported as creative or highest in Big Five trait openness leaned towards jazz, indie, and classical music. Those lower preferred easy listening and top 40 pop. Some findings countered what might be popular opinion. For example, gentle or highly agreeable individuals surveyed best liked heavy metal, as well as opera and easy listening. Heavy metal was also listed amongst the top genres for those whose self-esteem was rated the lowest. There were many other interesting correlations in the study, ranging from age to income. The significant amount of surrounding data couldn't be adequately covered in the short feature. Within all this information, one could take the liberty to draw absolute conclusions and blanket it according to research statements. People who listen to funk and indie are lazy and headstrong. People who listen to top 40 pop aren't creative. Only people who listen to country and top 40 pop are hard workers, and so on. Therein lies the danger. Using trends, self-reported information from a small portion of a greater whole, and taking a qualitative study, such as this, to create stone-cold facts through the quantitative, lays the foundation for personal bias, assumptions, and prejudice. In no way is this a condemnation of this study. It also must be stated that it was never the intention of the publisher to create absolutes, but rather to investigate relationships between these two dimensions. There are fascinating parallels between music genre preferences and Big Five personality traits. History has shown us that it is not the knowledge that creates our assumptions, but the interpretation of that knowledge that is applied as assumption, affecting behavior and practice. The beauty of research such as this lies in our potential to engage conversations on a one-on-one basis surrounding the findings that outline only trends and not absolutes. Even with this study and others of similar purpose, there are always exceptions to the norm. Each of us has complexities, being capable of both the unpredictable and the predictable. It is a logical conclusion that no two humans, even cloned, were, are, or ever will be exactly the same in terms of a combined physical and mental being. Everyone has a unique story, and from the experiences surrounding these stories comes the development of assumptions and attitudes that dictate daily behaviors. Close your eyes. Imagine music scenarios you encounter regularly, both the good and the bad. Waiting at a traffic stop while hearing a rumble of loud music from a nearby car. What conclusions do you draw? Dining at a restaurant while music plays in the background. Does it evoke an emotion or vibe? Hearing your neighbors playing music next door. What assumptions do you make based on the chosen genre or style? As you open your eyes and consider these situations, did you have assumptions, premonitions? Were your judgments fair? What were the roots of your responses? The 2010 journal article concluded results different from what may be assumed, as with the individuals who had an affinity for heavy metal, while the majority self-reporting as gentle and agreeable. Perhaps it is most fair to keep in mind that each of us is both an audience and a performer of our own harmony. Even with differences in background, personality, and preferences, all those who participate in the study listen to music, and did so with the intent of listening. All 104 genres shared a commonality of sound and silence. As with triskaidekaphobia, premonitions are built on decades, perhaps centuries, of data and assumptions that transform unfairly into fact, and are gradually manifested in behavior through prejudice. No matter your stance on numerology surrounding the number 13, each of us, in a world population of over 6 billion people, share a common interest and advantage in listening. And through the incorporation of both sound and silence as regular practice, we can share our story and equally listen to the stories of others.